All right, good morning, my lovely students. I hope that you guys had a nice weekend and a happy Palm Sunday with your families. In today's class, we are going to discuss the last section in our unit, which is Unit 11, Crime Time, and the last section will be regarding writing. Writing an essay, the advantages and disadvantages. Writing an essay regarding the advantages and disadvantages. And for the meantime, let me share the PowerPoint presentation with you in order to explain and discuss our topic for today's class. So, I believe that you guys have the screen in front of you. So let us start our lesson for today. And the student who wants to participate or read, just raise your hand and I'll choose from you guys. So, our title for today's writing lesson is an essay, and it is regarding advantages and disadvantages. Before proceeding with explaining how can we write an essay regarding this issue, we firstly have to be introduced and get to know the meaning, the definitions of the words, advantages and disadvantages. So let us discuss the meanings of them and then we'll talk about our essay. So here, the first slide is about the definition of advantage. So let me see a student in order to read. And here I'll take, who would like to start reading? Yes, Farah, go ahead, dear.
Any state, circumstance, opportunity, or means specially favorable to success, interest, or any desired end.
Yes,
Example, the
yes.
advantage of a good education.
Mhm.
2. Benefit, gain, profit. Example, it will be to his advantage to learn Chinese before going to China.
Thank you, dear. So let's go back to the definition and discuss it together. Here, the first definition for it is any state. State it means حالة, circumstance, ظرف, opportunity, جزء الفرصة, or means especially favorable. So this is the key word that we have. Favorable, something that is favorite to you, المفضل, المحبب عندك, to success, in order to succeed, للنجاح, or to interest, اللي هي الفائدة, or any desired end, any desired result. Result, it's an end is a result for your advantage issue and you want it and you wanted and it means desired. Let's have an example in order to clarify it. The advantage of a good education. So what are the pros, the things that are good for a good education? Let's go now to the definition number 2, and it is most likely about the synonyms of the word advantage. It's a synonyms and they are the benefit, المصلحة, gain, المكسب, and profit, الفائدة, and the profit, الفائدة. And let's have the example regarding it. It will be to his advantage, okay, it'll be for his own good to learn Chinese before going to China. So we have a person and he wants to travel to China. So it's for his own good, it's for his advantage to learn the language in order to be able to communicate with the Chinese people. Okay, because they do not speak Arabic. So it's an advantage for him to learn Chinese in order to communicate in the right way with the Chinese people. Let's go now to the definition of disadvantage. And here, before reading our slide in here, let us look all at the word disadvantage. Here, what do we have at the beginning of the word? Who can tell me?
The
A
prefix
prefix.
is
A prefix. And what does it mean? This.
the opposite.
The opposite.
The opposite. Yes. The opposite meaning, and so that if I want to negate, to put my word in the negative form, I use the prefix this. Yes, thank you, dears. Let's have a student. Zena, can you please read the slide for me?
It's a noun. Number one, the state or an instance of being in an unfavorable circumstance or condition. For example, to be at a disadvantage. Number two, something that puts one in an unfavorable position or condition. His bad temper is a disadvantage. Injury or interest, reputation, credit, profit, and
Credit.
etc.
Credit.
Credit, profit, etc. Loss, your behavior is a disadvantage to your family's good name.
Thank you, dear. All right, so let's go back to the definition and explain it in here. The first one is the state, الحالة, or an instance of being in an unfavorable. So we discussed the word advantage and we said it's a favorable. So here we have another what? Prefix, which is
Un.
and it means also the opposite, right? Unfavorable circumstance اللي هي ظرف غير محبب غير مفضل or condition أو شرط غير مفضل أو غير محبب. So here disadvantages, the word disadvantage is the opposite of the word advantage. Let's have an example in here. To be at a disadvantage. Let's go to the second definition in order to clarify it more. Something that puts a person, that puts someone in an unfavorable, one more time, position في موقع غير محبب or condition. And his bad temper. What's the meaning of bad temper?
Temperature.
مثل العصبية.
All right. Okay. Who said temperature?
Me, teacher.
teacher مزاج سيء.
No, it's not. It is not regarding
Miss
the
هو
temperature. It's not regarding الحرارة. Here it means اللي هي المزاج السيء, as Vicky said. His bad temperature اللي هو المزاج السيء is a disadvantage. هو إشي غير محبب. هي ميزة, هي واحدة من الصفات اللي مش منيحة. Alright? It's not a good behavior. So here his bad temper اللي هو المزاج السيء, and it has nothing to do with the temperature, تمام, is a disadvantage for the person. And number three, it is mostly as synonyms for the word disadvantage. It's an injury. It is something bad to the interest, to الفائدة, to reputation. What's the meaning of reputation?
السمعة السيئة.
السمعة السيئة يعني عليك, and it's a credit or a profit or a loss. When you lose something, it's bad. It's a disadvantage for this person. So here we have an example. Your behavior. What's the meaning of behavior?
سلوك.
سلوك.
Yes, and a synonym of it is your attitude. So your behavior or attitude is a disadvantage to your family's good name. So here we talked about what when we say about you a good name of your family. We talked about the
Reputation.
Reputation.
Yes, the اللي هي السمعة. So your bad behavior here, it means this example, it means that your bad behavior is no good for your family's name. لا السمعة تبع عيلتك, لا السمعة تبع العيلة تبعك. All right. Do you guys have any question regarding the definitions, or should we proceed?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
All right, that's good. Now we come to the structure of writing our essay. regarding the advantages and disadvantages. And we know that in English, we have to have three main paragraphs, and these three main paragraphs are the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. The introduction, it should have some points, some sentences, okay, and we will explain them right now. And in the body, okay, we might have two small body paragraphs regarding the advantages and disadvantages. The first one will be regarding the advantages, and the second one will be regarding the disadvantages, and then your conclusion for your essay. So let me have a student in order to write the introduction for me, and I'll have, yeah, Yusuf, go ahead.
Introduction. Paraphrase the question. Introduce the specific advantages and disadvantages that will be discussed in the main body paragraphs.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll have another student for the main body paragraph one, and I'll have, let me see here. Yalla ya Vicky.
Yes, teacher. Main body paragraph 1. In introduction,
Introduce, yeah, Vicky.
okay, teacher. Introduce the advantage top sentence. Explain, give detail, explain.
Example. Thank you, dear. Let's have another student for the main body paragraph 2 in here. And I'll have Noor Alwar.
Introduce the disadvantage, topic sentence, explain, give detail, example.
Thank you. And the last student for the last paragraph in here. And I'll have Mariana.
Yes, teacher. Conclusion, summary of the main points.
Conclusion.
Summary of the main points. What do you think were the most important pros and cons?
Pros and cons. Thank you, dear. So let's go back and explain what will be including in our essay. First, in the first paragraph, which is the introduction, I should paraphrase the question. So we are having a topic, we are having a question that we have to write an essay regarding it. And the word paraphrase, it means explaining this topic, explaining that question. Then we have to introduce the specific, so we just introduce them. We do not put them in details. We just have to list what we are going to talk about. So introduce the specific advantages and disadvantages that will be discussed, that will be explained in the main body paragraphs. In paragraph number 2, because we are having an essay regarding advantages and disadvantages, we will have two small main body paragraphs. The first one is regarding the advantages and the second one is regarding the disadvantages. What should we include in our first main body paragraph? We have to introduce the advantage that we are going to talk about. Then, after introducing it, after stating it, we have to explain it. We have to give details about it, okay? And then we will provide it with an example in order to clarify our advantage. We have to provide it with an example. We have to give an example. In the second main body paragraph, we will talk about the disadvantages. So we introduce our disadvantage and then in a topic sentence for sure. And then we will also explain and give details about it. And we will provide it with an example in order to clarify it. And after having the advantages and disadvantages, we will have a conclusion for our essay. What should our conclusion include? Let us see. we have to summarize. We have to give a summary regarding the main points, which are the topic sentence that we are having, the main idea, and the advantages and disadvantages. And then we have to state our opinion. So what you think were the most important pros and cons. And here, pros and cons, they are synonyms for the words advantages and disadvantages. دي الإيجابيات والسلبيات for our topic that we are discussing, and which is in this unit regarding crimes. So after the end of our explanation, we will have a sample, okay, in order to clarify how you can write an essay regarding the advantages and disadvantages. Now we will also go to another slide in order to explain our structure, our essay structure in greater detail. So let me see who would like to read. And here, students who didn't read, يلا يا جس. Yes, Amr.
أنا مبين إنه رافع إيدي ولا إيش؟
Yes, dear.
أوكي.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, yeah, Jessica. Start reading. Introduction.
Introduction, general estimation,
General statement.
general statement, issue topic, this main
Okay,
idea.
Jessica, come down, easy, شوي شوية, in order to pronounce the words right. Essay topic.
Essay topic, this main idea.
Thesis. Yes.
Thesis main idea. Essay outline.
Essay outline. Thank you. يلا يا عامر. Advantages paragraph.
يلا بس. Topic sentences. Sentence. Most important advantage. Explain example result. Next most important advantage. Explain example result. Repeat as necessary.
Okay, thank you, dear. And let's go to the disadvantages paragraph, and I'll have Diala. Go ahead, ya Diala.
Disadvantages paragraph, topic sentence, most important disadvantage, explain example or result. Next most important disadvantage, explain example or result. Repeat as necessary.
Thank you. And the conclusion will be for Noor. Go ahead.
Yes, teacher. Thesis statement again. Different vocabulary, same meaning. Summary, contrasting advantages and disadvantages, opinion, advice.
Thank you, dear. So here, let's go back and explain it. When I say the introduction, as we said, we have to have the main idea, the general statement, the essay topic, what we are going to talk about, which is in our case in here, in our unit, it's regarding crimes. So here we should have the main idea in our introduction, المقدمة تبعنا, and an essay outline, So we might here introduce the advantages and disadvantages, but in short, okay, in order to explain them more in the disadvantages and advantages paragraphs. And now we will go to the first body paragraphs as we said, and it is regarding the topic sentence, the most important advantage. So we have more than one advantage. We might have 2, 3, or more, okay? According to our topic, we have to explain every advantage, and we have to provide it with an example, as we said. And then we come to the next most important advantage. So we go from the most important to the least important advantage when writing our second paragraph in here. And we have also to explain it and give examples regarding it. Then we'll go to the third paragraph, which is the second in your body. And here also we have to insert the topic sentence, the most important disadvantage, we have to explain it and provide it with an example. And then the next most, so also we go with the disadvantages from the most important to the least important, to the least important disadvantage, and we have to explain and give an example. And after we are done with our advantages and disadvantages, we will have a conclusion. We want to end up our essay in here. What should we have in our conclusion? We should have the thesis statement, the main idea again, but here be careful. Do not repeat the same vocabulary, because let me tell you this information. In writing an essay, it weakens your essay if you repeat words, if you repeat vocabulary. So here, try to find different vocabulary for your thesis statement, for your main idea, which you insert or which you placed in the introduction, but with the same meaning, because we know in English we have something that is called synonyms, المرادفات. So you might have more than one vocabulary for the same meaning. So try to change, try to pick different vocab, but they have the same meaning in your conclusion. And then you have, as we said, to summarize the contrasting, okay, when اللي انت عمالك بتقارن بس من حيث الاختلاف regarding the advantages and the disadvantages, and you have to give your opinion. And here there is one more thing that is that you can add to your conclusion, which is advice. So if you want, you can place an advice also in your conclusion. You can place an advice in your conclusion in order to say, and here in your conclusion, you have to know when you are placing your opinion that there is no yes or no answer, or right or wrong. Why? Because you are talking about your opinion, your point of view regarding the topic, which is, in our case, one more time, about crimes. Do you guys have any question, or should we proceed?
No, teacher.
All right, that's good. Here we come to the slide with the title Paraphrasing. What do I mean by the word paraphrasing? We said that if we want to paraphrase, we want to explain the text, explain the things that we have in order to start writing our essay. So here we can, or you can use paraphrases like this as an alternative. What's the meaning of alternative? Who knows?
بديل.
يعني عليك يا زينة. Yes, بدائل for the words advantages and disadvantages, because we said that repetition will weaken, okay, راح يضعف your essay if you repeat the same word. So I have the first, okay, as an example, the first disadvantage is, and then after continuing, okay, you will talk about the second one. So instead of saying the second disadvantage, you can say the second drawback or the second minus, because here they are synonyms of the word advantages and disadvantages. So benefit is a synonym for advantages. Pluses اللي هي الإيجابيات. All right. Pros, it means also الإيجابيات, and it means also advantages. Good and bad aspects. Bad is for the disadvantages. Cons also, and minuses, it means السلبيات. So here we have a couple of phrases that we can use, and we can replace the words advantages and disadvantages with. So try to use them while writing your essay regarding this issue. Now we go to the slides which are in your books regarding your lessons, which are, I believe, on pages 144 and 145. So let us have a student in order to read, and then we will explain the meaning of these slides or of these pieces of information. And I'll have, do we have new hands? Yes, Yalay, go ahead, dear. Brainstorm.
Yes, teacher. Brainstorming, when you write an essay, it's important that you brainstorm to come up with as many ideas as possible about the topic and then try to group related their ideas together.
Okay, can you continue? If you are dealing.
Okay. If you are dealing with the advantages and disadvantages of a topic, write down your ideas. Decide which are advantages, and
Yes.
uh, which are disadvantages, and then decide what the most important points are, and in what order you will present the arguments.
The arguments. Thank you, dear. Yes, so let's go back. When I say brainstorming means العصف الذهني.
الذهني.
So, يعني عليك يا Yusuf. So, when you start, okay, before starting to write, okay, before picking up your pens and start writing, you have to think. You have to make a brainstorming. So, when you write an essay, it's important that you brainstorm to come up with as many ideas. So in order to write, I have to have ideas, right? So as possible about the topic. So in our case, we are having the topic of the crimes. We will make a brainstorm or have a brainstorm before start writing. And we mean by that that we have to collect and to state down in your notebook ideas regarding the issue or the topic that I am going to write about, and then try to group related ideas together. What do I mean by this sentence? Let's look here in order to explain this sentence. If you are dealing with the advantages and disadvantages of the topic, so we are going to talk about crimes, all right? If I am talking about the or about the crimes, they have advantages and disadvantages. Okay, not the crimes itself, but a topic regarding crimes. Okay, we will have a couple of advantages and a couple of disadvantages. So, regarding our ideas that we are stating them, so we have to group related ideas. What's the meaning of related?
متعلقين.
مشتركين.
متعلق, مترابط, yes, with each other together. So if I have, for example, 3 advantages, I should place them together. And if I have 2 disadvantages, I should place them also together. And then write down your ideas in your notebook in order to know the right way and the right order, because we said sometimes there is one advantage is more important than the other, or there is one disadvantage and it is more important than the other. So here decide which are the advantages and which are the disadvantages, and then decide what are the most important points and to the least important, in what order you will present your arguments. You will present your sentences and your ideas regarding advantages and disadvantages. Let's go now to the next slide in here, which is regarding your conclusion. So after being done with writing your introduction and then your body paragraph, you will write your conclusion. So let us have a student. يلا يا فرح, can you please read?
Yes, teacher. In for and against essays, state your opinion in the conclusion. If you agree with both sides of the argument to some extent, then
Yes.
you can say so. However, you should clearly state the reason why you feel that neither side is always right.
يعني عليك. Thank you. So here in your conclusion, and it is here in for and against. This is another synonym for the words advantage and disadvantage. Essays, state your opinion. So in the conclusion, you have to state your opinion. You have to give your point of view. If you agree with both sides or you disagree, okay, you have to put your opinion. Or if you agree, okay, regarding one side, you have to give the reason why you feel that neither side is always right. That neither side. So you might agree with both sides. You might disagree with both sides. You might agree with some of the advantages, and you might disagree with some of the disadvantages. But in all cases you have to give a reason, okay? Because here our opinion is not a yes or no, or a right or wrong. It's your opinion, so you have to provide it with a reason. You have to state a reason in order to clarify your opinion. Let's go now to the last slide for our lesson for today. And it is about useful expressions. So these are some of the expressions that you may be or you have to use when writing your essay regarding the advantages and disadvantages. And for the first column, I will have, let me see here, Diala Mazare, can you please read the first column, please, dear? Advantages and disadvantages.
Benefits, pros and cons, for and against, have its advantages, disadvantages, be a waste of time, cause more harm than good.
Thank you, dear. So these are the some of the useful expressions that you should use when writing your essay regarding the advantages and disadvantages. And let's go now to the second column in here, which is discussing crimes, which is the topic of our lesson in here. So let's have another student, and I want yes, Juan, go ahead.
Discussing crimes. The punishment fits the crime. A fine, a prison sentence, a warning, community service, be sentenced to a month, years in prison, be guilty or innocent of, be let off with a warning, break the law, commit a crime, tackle or prevent crime.
يعني عليكي, thank you. So here we are familiar with the meanings of all these expressions except two, which is a fine, and it means المخالفة, as we discussed, I believe, in our last lecture. And be let off, اللي هي عبارة عن إطلاق سراحه with a warning, مع تحذير له. And I believe the rest of them you guys know their meanings. And with that, we will be done with explaining our lesson regarding writing. And now I will leave you in order to go to your next class. But before that, I want to remind you of your quiz. Tomorrow's quiz, and it will be regarding the reported speech. It is 10 questions with 10 marks regarding the reported speech. You guys have a nice day, and I will see you tomorrow.